I've been really liking the Zerg versus Protoss matchup lately. It seems like in general there's a lot of strategic variety right now for both Zerg as well as Protoss, and well, especially when it comes to these two players facing off against each other, usually we end up getting fireworks. Interestingly enough, so in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got a man representing himself on the main hatchery. We're looking at none other than Dark's main base. And his opponent, well, rocking another Protoss player that is none other than SOS, a multiple times a world champion of StarCraft 2, but this is not SOS we're looking at. We're looking at none other than herO's main Nexus. And, well, no disrespect to SOS, but there's no denying that herO is quite a bit better in 2024 than SOS currently is. Although, I haven't really seen a lot of SOS games, so maybe he's somewhere over there, you know, practicing his butt off in, like, the hyperbolic time chamber, I think is what it's called in Dragon Ball Z. He's just practicing with twice the level of gravity, and at some point SOS will emerge from the vault, and he will look incredibly powerful, but as it is right now, I'm gonna make the assumption at the very least. I'm about 99% certain that herO is quite a bit better currently than SOS. Anyways, interestingly enough, apparently he's decided to start rocking him on the main Nexus. Maybe, you know, just to feel a little inspired. SOS, from the community at least, a lot of the community members would call him SOS just like so, because SOS would usually only participate and then win the absolute biggest tournaments in the game. It's been quite a while. There's that one very infamous tournament. There it is, by the way, Twilight Council opener for herO, so not messing around with a Stargate, and this is kind of what I was mentioning earlier. This was not really played just about a month or two ago, but right now it seems like Glaive the Depths, even Charge, Blink opener super quickly, everything's on the table. You could even go into Dark Templar if you're feeling really ambitious. But anyways, just to finish my thought when it comes to $$, SOS, once upon a time, a very long time ago, I think this must have been like, probably about a decade ago, there was a tournament where we had a $100,000 prize pool. This was a proper premier event where the winner takes everything. Guess who ended up winning it? It was none other than SOS. It was really fun for this one event. It was also incredibly stressful for the pro gamers, because especially back then, I mean, we didn't have a ton of big tournaments, right? And $100,000 is life-changing amounts of money. In 2024, we get quite a few 100K plus events, but at the time that was not really, and then it was a winner takes all. It was a cool concept. I'm glad we don't have that anymore. As a matter of fact, we have actually, in general in StarCraft 2, the prize pools have become less top-heavy, because for the longest time, winning a tournament was, well, significantly more important than even making it into the top 4. And obviously that's still the case, but not quite to the same extent. Anyways, enough blabbering. We've got ourselves a Glaive Adept opener right here with a very quick third Nexus. And this is I think why this Twilight Council opener is making a bit of a comeback. Usually, the problem you run into with anything that isn't a Stargate opener is the timing of the third Nexus. So this is technically a very greedy third Nexus timing, but the problem here for Dark is that he doesn't know what he's playing against. So it's really difficult for Dark to figure out exactly what's going on the other side of the map. He's gonna check the gases right now, I guess, so he sees, okay, something is a little, maybe a little strange, but nothing all too uncommon. At this point, I guess he will have realized that, well, if it would have been an Oracle, it would have already shown up on the other side of the map. But now herO is going for a Glaive a Glaive Adept timing push, whilst on the back of this, having a very quick third Nexus. So he doesn't really need to deal a lot of economical damage with this. Yeah, any drone kill honestly is nice. As long as he doesn't lose all of the Adepts for free and triggers like a full-on counter-attack from the Zerg, he should be fine. If you look at the worker count right now, yeah, 45 probes here for herO versus 37 drones for Dark. Oceanborn coming up, Lair coming up here as well for the Zerg, who's trying to play a very, yeah, normal game so far, but, I mean, other than the positioning of the Lair, I suppose, everything here is quite standard for Dark, probably just selecting the base that he wanted to upgrade the most. Sometimes it's the natural, sometimes it's the main, this time around apparently it's the third. Always looks a little funky though. Yeah, I know this can be a little bit confusing, but honestly, if Dark loses the third base, he's gonna lose the game anyways. And since a Lair has more hit points than a hatchery, so 2,000 hit points right here on a Lair versus 1,500 for a hatchery, the odds of the third base staying alive are, yeah, a little bit bigger over here, of course, when you have 500 more health. Anyways, one of those details you can obsess over, but ultimately, it usually doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Blink on the back of this, by the way. Blink on the back of this together with a +1 ground weapons. Okay, let's see. It is, of course, a little risky, because herO does not have a prism with this at the moment. I mean, it shows up right now, but he could have already had those adepts multiple times fully surrounded. Now that the prism is here, life becomes a bit easier. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I really do like how the Protoss players have been mixing in these different builds again. Zerg can counterattack in the meantime. Okay. If, by the way, Dark would have made a large group of Zerglings earlier, and there we go, that's the damage he was hoping for. Kills 13 probes just like that. If he would have made a large group of Zerglings by the time that the third Nexus got planted down, or even just apparently right now, yeah, this is a very committed push here from Dark, but he's probably going to be able to deal a lot of damage. Killing the third Nexus, I think, is the bare minimum, but he wants to have the army and the third, and I think he's going to get it. An Immortal is coming. It's about halfway done at this point, but yeah. I think you go for the base now. I think you just flood with more Zerglings and you try to kill the base. Well, apparently the Observer also gonna get sniped down. Yeah, supply-wise, this is just too good right now. I liked what herO was doing, but I was trying to say it's a little risky for Protoss to commit to such an early third Nexus when they don't open up with a Stargate. Because if Zerg made like 20 links, they can probably kill that base relatively easily. More and more Zerglings are getting their rep around though, and what was looking like a phenomenal start for herO is suddenly an absolute disaster. He was very far ahead, but then he ended up losing pretty much all of his army units, and obviously it was only just, yeah, really a bunch of gateway units going up against a lot of Ravagers and Lings. So despite herO leading about the first 90% of this game, it's ultimately Dark who obtains the victory. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Oceanborn. I've decided to fast forward through the first 2 minutes of the game, just because everything is very normal. Now, is it going to be a Twilight Council opener once again, herO? It will not be. No, this time around it's going to be the good old Stargate. I think Stargate openers are really good, especially when it comes to just creating stability, right? You could see that lacking in the previous game, because you can get those Stargate units out so early, and since Zerg doesn't really get a lot of anti-air, other than Queens, I guess, in the earlier stages of the game, you can get a ton of value. Just building the Stargate, getting a bunch of Oracles out, and on top of that, I actually think that the Oracle is probably the best Protoss unit in the game. Do you think that's fair? Cheeky, cheeky. Adept is going to show up. Problem is, there are already 2 Lings on the low ground. herO sent that probe out super early, managed to block his opponent's natural expansion. Third base was made as the very first structure, and then ultimately Dark is going to be able to secure it, but the pylon block there into the very quick chrono boosted Adept certainly does make life a little tricky here for Dark, but obviously Dark is more than happy to wrestle in the mud. It's what he loves to do. It's what he does on the daily. Well, maybe a little less now that he's a dad, right? But generally speaking, Dark certainly loves wrestling in the mud when it comes to playing StarCraft. There's the good old Oracles coming up. Third Nexus should be coming here. I was gonna say. Usually 345 to 350, depending on how many gateway units you produce. This time around, 350. There it is. Alright. Oracle goes around the site. Yeah, so the downside of playing Stargate opener, I guess, is that in a very strange way, even though I consider, well, this actually should work out really well for herO. Let's see how many kills he can get. Second Queen pops out. Okay. He could have gotten at least 3, I think, but anyways, in a very strange way, even though I consider this to be the best opener for Protoss against Zerg, Protoss players have been playing this strategy now as their go-to for years and years and years. So Zerg players have also gotten very good at defending against it. Those Queen timings are very tight. Spore Crawlers are generally delayed, and this is quite bad, actually. Getting a single kill and then taking that much hull damage on the Oracle is really quite unfortunate. I think you always want to try and keep that one around for a little bit longer. Lair. 4.5 minutes into the game. Nothing all too weird. Extra gas is coming up. The same can be said right here for herO too. He decides to go for some quick additional gases himself. So none of that, who was it again? Was that Classic? Yeah, I think it was Classic on this map. Who decided to go for a single gas opener and just a gajillion zealots. I actually really liked what Classic has been doing, or I really like, rather, what Classic has been up to in this matchup lately. Some of the most creative Protoss player I've seen. Maybe herO taking a bit of a page out of his book as well. Okay. Adepts shading around. Stasis ward in the back. Good control right there by Dark, though. Really trying to mitigate this as much as possible, but honestly, not bad, eh? So look at the worker count. Again, much like the previous game. Obviously, herO ended up making a mistake there, but much like the previous game, herO is finding himself with an economical advantage against Zerg, and that's really all you're looking for. He's trying to secure 3 bases, and he's trying to make sure that he's got a decent worker count. Now here, once again, though, is the Zerg counterattack. This time around, I like the positioning herO of the army a whole lot better. Plus, we have those oracles, right? And at this point, there's not really any unit for the Zerg that shoots up. I mean, he can try and send the queens across, but they're quite slow off creep. The creep spread, while decent, it would take a while. I don't think it would be a very good idea. Oh, it was Glaives for just a little bit. herO now apparently has decided to go into the charge upgrade first. Okay. Normally, this would always be Blink. So this has been a very standard first 5 to 6 minutes of the game. Now the follow-up is certainly a little different. Look at that. So he did mine a bit of gas out of both of these assimilators, but now he pulled off. So this is going to just be like 9, 10-ish gateways worth of zealots. Keep in mind that with +1 ground attacks, zealots 2-shot Zerglings that don't have armor upgrades, rather than 3-shot. So a very significant damage improvement against Ling-based armies. And it looks like this is going to be Zerglings together with Hydras. Zealots are amazing against both of those. herO has also been making additional oracles here, so he's got 4 oracles, which may be the reason why we have that Hydra transition. Normally you go 2 to 3. And maybe he's assuming this is going to be like, I don't know, sometimes we see like 5 to 6 oracles or so. I really think that's cool. But roaches are a much better choice against a zealot-based army, of course. Okay. Bold play here once again from herO. It worked out reasonably well early on in the previous match, but then it all fell flat on its face. Here we go. Do we at least have an observer? No, we don't even have a robo facility. So we're just gonna, okay, we're gonna go zealots into Blink. The only downside here is that he's forced to warp them all the way in at home. So it's gonna take a while for these units to get across, but let's see. Hydras and Queens, though. I like the positioning here. Trying to make sure that there's not a lot of surface area here for the Zealots to be charging at. Queens in the front as well, quite nice. They're, well, strong and beefy, although we didn't really see any transfuses there. One brilliant thing right here for Protoss, by the way, is that you really don't need to micro this at all. You don't micro this. As Protoss, you just attack move this. As Zerg, you're like, oh my god, pull the workers, micro back the queens, transfusions, make sure the Hydras are in between them. Right, there's a lot of little things going on. In the meantime, Protoss is a move, send in the skeletons. See as their bones go marching in. Right, they're definitely running the Pretender in the background. A little bit of Foo Fighters. What if I said I'm not like the others? That is herO right now. Although maybe the Korean version. No, I think he could have had the base. Yeah, I think he could have had the base, but he didn't want to risk it. Instead, the Zealots are just gonna hang out. Yeah, we're just gonna do a little bit of marching together with the boys. Holding side blades. Running side by side. Alright, Bailing Nest right now on the back of this. Honestly, all of these creative builds, in a very strange way, can all be... Oh, well, don't get them surrounded. I don't like this. Yeah, that was actually pretty poor play right there by herO. I don't know why we decided to march over the creep back home when we have a perfectly safe way of going back home that way. Anyways, a lot of this can be traced back to the Baneling nerf. So this is already quite a while ago, but Zerg players now rarely open up +1 melee as their first upgrade. And because they rarely open up +1 melee, they also rarely follow up with Banelings. So... oh my god, that is a lot of Banelings. Dark actually believes he can just straight up win. He's doing the same thing as he did in the previous game, just at a later stage. He's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna make army units and we'll see how you manage it. Here we go. This is a scary amount of stuff. Now, there are a lot of sentries available. Suddenly, we have a very micro-heavy Protoss army. From A-moving to microing his butt off, but those force fields are looking solid. Queens and... or sorry, Hydras here and Banelings derping behind the force fields. Colossus is coming up. He does have Blink done, of course, as well. What a cool way to transition towards Blink. Very fun. And there we go. herO actually holds this. Or at least he seems to. Dark's still making a bunch of units, but it's starting to look like it's a little desperate now. Okay. herO ready to threaten his opponent on the other side of the map. Stalkers blinking after Banelings. A couple of Miserellied Overlords here too. Alrighty. Very cool. Very fun way to play Protoss. Very difficult way to play Protoss too, by the way. It reminds me of this is the anti-F2 siege up right there on the Prism. It reminds me a little bit of like Terran early game, where Terrans can just sort of do whatever they like in the early game, it seems, and maybe Protoss doesn't quite have that level of freedom, but Terran can make a wide variety of units and really put on a lot of pressure. In a strange way, this is a bit similar, where yeah, Protoss is just capable of throwing curveball after curveball, and it's very much so up to the Zerg to try and defend against everything. Alrighty, Lurker Den coming up together with an Infestation Pit. I'm assuming we're gonna be seeing a Hive. Ah, there it is. In just a moment. At least that would have been nice. Problem is, this army here from Protoss is absolutely massive. Dark realizes that there's no way he would win. Actually, as herO, the supply count was dropping right there. I think herO decided to go back into the game. He wanted to kill some stuff. Alrighty then. So, the score has evened up. We find ourselves in the final map of this best of 3 series. And that one will take place on Alcyone, which is how some players, some casters pronounce this map. Alcyone. I've even heard some people call it Alcy1. I guess Alcyone, or yeah, I guess it's technically correct. I think Alcyone sounds way cooler. Anyways, couple different ways you can pronounce certain things. We can blame the Greek. Looks like we're gonna go for a cheeky little gold base first. Well, last time I saw this, we had a cannon rush as a response. Again, I believe that was classic. He should go and check though. Okay, herO does not check immediately. He can still make the decision too when he sees the lack of natural in the opponent's base. Because when you think about it, right here, yeah, herO's gonna see, okay, there's no natural. What are the options right now for Zerg? Well, either it's a super aggressive early game spawning pool, so like a 12 pool, or it's going to be like a proxy hatch, or I guess it could be a hatchery at the gold base, right? So like, those are really like the options. Either it's gonna be full-on aggression from the Zerg, or full-on economy cheese. I think in both scenarios, you can get quite a bit of value by playing a cannon rush. Or, well, maybe not a cannon rush in the strictest sense of the rush. Because in the one option, you would be building the photon cannons at home as a base defense, and the other one, you could be using them aggressively. Anyways, herO decides to go for a different approach here. Rather than going for a push over here at the golden minerals, he has decided to go for a second gateway. So no forge or anything like that. No photon cannons or anything like that, but this can still certainly put in quite a bit of work. It'll be key for Dark to knock down these small bits of debris. They don't have a lot of HP, but early on, obviously, there's not really a whole lot of attacking units. I think you should make this into a group of Zerglings immediately. Shouldn't you? He decided to go for another base, by the way, in the meantime, too, so... yeah, now he's finally selecting it. Problem is, as soon as those adepts come across the map, it is going to be very difficult to knock down those rocks. Obviously, queens can sort of deal with it later on, which is nice and all. But that doesn't mean that the drones will have to be pulled away. I don't love going for this super quick third base on the back of this too. Because now, yeah, exactly. Like, these adepts are going to be able to deny mining for a good little while. Can they reach that? Yep, they can reach that. Yeah. So this already completely ruins the early game right here for Dark. Like, sure, those golden minerals are nice. He's actually long distance mining some of the blue minerals now. And he will be able to continue mining here in just a little bit, but the advantage of gold bases is really not that huge. Now, he did sneak 2 Zerglings. Yeah, those other 2 that he made from the main base. He did sneak those towards the other side. Bit of lost mining time there, but nothing all too exciting. Link speed is going to finish up. Drones actually could have... Okay, they could have been in a little bit of trouble. Oh, don't get him surrounded. Come on, herO. Sleeping on the job for just a little bit. Well, that's all that Dark needs. Okay. That was actually relatively sloppy. I don't think he needed to lose 3 of those adepts like that. There's a lot of good locations on this map, especially around the watchtower, where you can have like only 1 Zergling or so at a time engaging from each side. And if those adepts stand shoulder to shoulder, it's really quite difficult for them to get killed. At least until ranged units come out for the Zerg. It's gonna be an Oracle this time around. Makes sense. Ah, this is what I was trying to explain. Yeah. So this is what he could have done with the 3 adepts as well earlier. At which point I think life would have been much better for him. Then we would have probably had like 6 adepts alive at this point, which is a lot scarier. Because you can already see how scary these 4 are. I don't think the gold base this quickly is worth it anymore. No. Protoss players have gotten really good at dealing with it. This is once more, a brilliant start here for herO. Look at that absolute roller coaster of an income advantage early on, though. Both players forced to pull workers a bunch of times. Adepts managed to shade away once more, just barely in time. There does seem to be a little bit of desperation play, though, in the top-level Zergs lately. Where they kind of feel like they need to play some tricks on the Protoss. At the very least, that's the vibe I'm getting. A lot of them are trying to cut corners left, right, and center. Either delaying the lair for a super long time, or skipping the Evo chamber upgrades, or like what Dark is doing over here, just going straight into a very quick gold base. And I'm pretty sure Dark agrees that this isn't really that great of a build. But I think he also kind of feels like he needs to get something done. Because this was popular when the map was first introduced. These days, though, we don't really see it that often anymore. There's once again the Twilight Council together with Forge. The go-to, by the way, to clarify, would be to go Blink together with +1. But now apparently Dark has decided that he has had enough. He's been hit 1 too many times. And now apparently we're just holding down the unit button. He's got 5 Overlords just about to finish, though. So I'm assuming we're going to see a big Ravager morph in. There it is. Sorry about that, Brenda. Brenda is going to have a tough time going all the way around. But this will be a very, very scary Zerg army to hold. Those Queens have a lot of health. They obviously can push away those Oracles, too. Corrosive Biles are going to be terrifying, especially when your structures are clumped up like that. What in the world is this herO? That's just a little sloppy. Anyways, one of them does still stay alive. He actually manages to get the battery overcharge on that one. I don't know why those batteries were stacked up together. That was a bit silly. Dark Templar are going to be coming up on the back of this. herO realizes that this is a hatchery tech-based push. So there's no lair build yet for Dark. He did make an Oracle, obviously. So because of that, Dark has decided to go for a couple Spore Crawlers. Spore Crawlers are still detectors. So the Invisible Men will not be able to just kill the Zerg after this dust settles. But at the very least, it should be really strong defensively. Okay, I think the Queens are actually going to try and go back home. I think that's the right call. Yeah. Buy some time with the Lings and the Ravagers. Maybe bring back those units too. In the meantime, by the way, the Oracles. Okay, one of them goes down. Killing a load of workers. Ay, ay, ay. You know what? 8 drones for 1 Oracle when you've gone triple is pretty good. Cybercore 2.0 apparently. Coming up in the main base. I'm assuming this is herO thinking that he was going to lose it. He could cancel it. Maybe he wants to go double upgrades for Skytle's units? I mean, it's a choice. Yeah, those Overlords actually are quite sloppy. I really don't think he should have lost the Overlords here. Nope. There's Blink. So I'm assuming we're gonna go across. There we go. Yeah, that's super painful. Big mistake here by Dark, by the way. Yeah, that's like what, five overlords or so going down? Okay, here is the invisible men. There is one spore crawler in the natural, but obviously DTs still deal a lot of damage. And like I said, the lair super duper late with this opener. So this is gonna get very chaotic very fast. It is already a chaotic game. Look at the mini-map right now. Although Zerg base is so disjointed. Protoss just lost the third base. But economically speaking, herO is actually fine. I think he's alright. Okay. Oracle's diving so deep, man. Ay. I don't think we need to go that deep with the Oracles, but an additional 8 workers fall. So 23 workers have been killed. For the Zerg at least, or the Zerg has lost 23 of them. Somehow, some way, herO lost the Nexus, but he did not lose a single probe. So as good as that base defense was for herO, he also decided to throw away quite a few units. His charge once again, by the way. Charge, going up to 8 gateways, a Robo Bay coming up too. So that will allow him to go into either Disruptors, but more than likely Colossi. More DTs are also morphing in. Okay, this is gonna be for some Archon shenanigans. Could be dropping them. The one thing though that is very, very scary here for Protoss is the amount of creep spread that Dark has managed to accumulate here. Because he took this base so far forward, his creep, well, not even as perfect as it could have been. Yeah, it's still very far forward, and this is difficult for Protoss to move out into. Colossus indeed coming up. Okay. We're gonna do, I thought we were gonna do Archon drops, but apparently we're gonna do Stalker drops instead. 4th Nexus, always a difficult one. Do you take it on the left? Do you take it right here at the 6 o'clock? Well, both locations are relatively vulnerable. It's a lot more defendable though when we go up to like 2 to maybe 3 Colossi or so. Colossus ranged coming up. Yeah, they're just slow to build and expensive. Quite an investment here. So really what herO is just trying to do is buy time. Clear a little bit of that creep. A little bit of spring cleaning on the map. I don't think it's a bad choice. How many overlords has Dark made, by the way, this game? I feel like every time I glance in the production tab, I see like a dozen overlords. Okay. 6 OVs have gone down at this stage in the game. 6 more overlords just about to pop. Dark is now ahead when it comes to the worker count, so he has been powering out a ton of drones. I don't think this is an army that herO can really push with. No, he's really just faking it. Clearing out some of the creep, and that's about it. He really wants to just hold on. Which is why that worker count here for Dark should work out for him. The roller coaster of the income advantage continues, but ultimately, we're gonna get a very nice peak here for Dark. Disruptors on the back of this. So it is... yeah, 2 Colossi into Disruptors. I mean, you can test the waters if you want to, herO, yeah? If you can take a fight off creep or in a choke point or something like it, I guess there's a chance. You just have to respect this Zerg army though, because this is an army that is properly upgraded. We have +1/+1 for the melee units. And this is a Ling Bane based force. Bane's speed is going to finish up, as you can see, together with +2 melee. Right around the same time. And this is going to be a significant power spike for the Zerg. Here we go. This is apparently the moment where Dark decides to pull the trigger. There are, however, stasis wards set up. And he backs off. Okay. herO right now also approaching a maxed out. So that's nice. Slow pushing forward. Stasis ward on the left. Yep. Really lovely work. I mean, Archons in the front are going to be amazing against the Banelings. We do get some lovely biles, though, as the Prism goes down. A lot of reinforcing units are going to show up eventually. Queens pulled away as well from their hatcheries to try and, well, join in the fray. Look at the Queens fighting a Colossus, and they actually managed to get it done. This is great for herO, though. Problem is, Dark is still at a low-tier army, right? So we're talking Roaches and Lynx, for the most part. And I guess they're, you know, evolved counterparts. Now the creep spread is not looking nearly as menacing anymore. Protoss is all the way up to basically the highest ground tech they can get. And he's cleared out the creep and he's killed a base. It is important here for herO not to overextend. He doesn't have a ton of workers himself. But these fights off creep are so nice. Okay. Disruptor Novas. Colossi trying its very best. Okay, that one Colossus ultimately falls, but the entire Zerg army needed to step off creep for that to happen. So good bait right there by herO. And ultimately, because of all those fancy moves, it's our Protoss player from Korea who obtains the victory. Brilliant stuff. Really well done. I hope you enjoyed watching this game. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. And if you really enjoyed it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Today I want to give a special shout out. to the Patreon supporters. Look at these absolute legends that are scrolling across your screen right now. If you are also interested in directly supporting the channel, you can head on over to patreon.com/LowkoTV. Thank you guys very much for your support. For now though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I hope to see you once again very soon for another video.